Parents who have disowned or genuinely stopped loving your child, what happened? I have disowned my oldest son. He molested my daughter, has been diagnosed as a sociopath, and we have restraining orders against him. It isn't fun, and I never thought I would be that parent. This may be weird coming from a stranger, but thank you for doing so. My partner told her mother that her older brother sexually abused her for close to 10 years and she did nothing. She never reacted to the info, kept letting brother live with her, and still expects us all to play happy family. I really respect you for what you did. I literally just got off the phone with my mom saying I never want to see my older brother again, and she started with that was so long ago, and I had to hang up on her. My stepfather would say sexual things to me, and I'm 99% sure would have molested me if we wouldn't have left. He also beat the daylights out of my mother and brother. My mother wouldn't leave him either. When I moved in with my father, so many family members tried to guilt me into visiting. My grandmother, mother's mother, told me one day you just need to get over it. I don't speak to any of them now. Good. And don't. A little different. I was disowned, but I deserved it. I was an addict and a mess for a long time. My mom couldn't keep bailing me out of trouble and watch me self-destruct anymore. I wasn't living at home. She came to see me one last time to tell me she was done, not to contact her. She would no longer have anything to do with me. She was in pieces. I can't imagine how hard it must have been for her. But it was the best thing she ever did for me. Once she cut me off, my rock bottom came hard and fast. After a little while of living on the streets and my addiction consuming me, I made my way to a detox center, got a few days clean under my belt, and never looked back. That was almost 15 years ago. After I was clean a little while, I contacted my mom, and little by little we built a relationship again, and now we're really close. I am forever grateful to my mom for letting me fall and letting me back into her life. This has to be the most heartwarming thing I've ever read. To be able to look at things rationally and not hate your mother, but rather appreciate what she did to you while you were in a dire spot, this is something not everyone can do at all. I don't know you, but I'm glad you were able to get back into your mother's life, and I'm sure she is also happy you got up on your feet. Wish you all the best. My biological father divorced my mom and also his 3 kids, basically bouncing out of our lives and making it clear he wanted next to nothing to do with any of us when he left. Man, years later, at my older sister's funeral, that he had the ducking gall to attend, I asked him why he did that. He said, "I thought it would be easier for everyone." He actually meant it was easier for him to run home to his wealthy family and enjoy a second adolescence while my single mother worked 2 jobs to feed 3 kids under 10 with 0 child support from him. Our fathers are 2 in the same. Shitty. Make it 3. Father came from money, so he took off, lives the easy life, while my mom worked 2 jobs while going to community college. After 30 years, dude sent message through my aunt if we ever wanted to meet, head like to. Even after all that time, dude still can't face things on his own. Added spelling a word. I have been legally disowned by my father. When I was 11, my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. This was her second diagnosis in around 4 years. Obviously she recovered the first time after intense surgery and a lot of chemo, and he did not want to look after her like he did before. He also had a new GF in her family to look after apparently, and he had no issues leaving us. When my mom passed away when I was 14, my brother, grandmother, him and I met up to discuss who I was going to live with. The plan was my brother and his family. Father was never considered, and he showed up and declared that he was in the process of going to court to legally emancipate himself from me. He went out of his way to legally declare that I was no longer his child. Just so that my brother, 22 with a wife and 2 young children already struggling on 1 paycheck, couldn't seek child support. Needless to say, it stung, coming only days after my mother's funeral. What an arse. Hugs to you. Peace to your mom. Peace to your mom. Knowing her child doesn't have to be around that monstrous asshole anymore pretty much guarantees this. My mother and her sister were both adopted into a great family. Recently, my grandfather fell ill and we were told to prepare to say goodbye. So the family gathered. My grandmother has had a hard time with her memory since she had a brain hemorrhage, but she welcomed my aunt into her home during this tough time. Whilst my grandfather was in his final week, Wendy, aunt, took my grandmother's ATM card and proceeded to spend well over $1,000 on herself and get herself a motel room. She also attempted to steal their car. When my uncles found out, she basically disappeared into the wind. After my grandfather passed and his funeral was all sorted, my grandmother went to an attorney to write Wendy out of any inheritance she would get from their estate when she passes. She didn't press any formal charges, because the whole process would have been lengthy and more painful for her. She didn't need the extra stress. I'm pretty sure one of my uncles also threatened Wendy to make sure she stayed away from my grandmother from now on too. Damn, that's some rhyme total piece of shit material from Wendy right there. My family disowned me because I disowned my mother. I was sexually groomed and abused, tortured by her husband for years, and when I finally told her, she not only didn't believe me, but stayed married to him for 7 years. I had to move out at 16 to get away from how I was being treated. Then when I finally began speaking to others, she started to cover her ass with her social circle by telling them that I seduced her husband. I cut her off for years, and didn't ever want to see her again, but my family bullied me to just get over it and have a relationship with my mother, and that I was hurting her. Even my sister, who knew what happened, knew I stayed for so long to protect her, fell into a trap of my mother whining to everyone around her and painting me as a liar. About 4 years ago, she was very suddenly diagnosed with advanced cancer and didn't have much time. I was moving out of my home state, and everyone told me I needed to see her before I left, that I needed to be there, but I didn't want to. In the end, everyone turned their back on me. They were so mad I wouldn't just forget my trauma just to say goodbye to someone I hadn't loved for a long time, and rightly so. Edit: I'm getting a lot of replies, so I just want to say thank you and send you all virtual hugs. I'm okay now, I'm grown up, and though I was set back in a lot of ways life-wise, I came out on top for the best. Anyone who is also experiencing this, you aren't alone, and if you need to talk, I'm here. Hey dear, I'm in the same boat. I have some siblings who know the truth, who were also abused but not sexually like I was, and are also NC, but my little sister, stepfather is her real father, basically said it was just one time, so I need to let it go. It wasn't one ducking time, and the fact that my mother admits it all happened now but is downplaying it infuriates me more. You know what? We've loved our mothers long after they deserved our love, extended them so many chances. And they've just shit on us. I miss my sister, but I don't think I would even return for my mom's funeral. I'm done pretending she's a good person. By not pretending, I've taken my life back. As Jehovah's Witnesses, my parents disowned my siblings and I several times since I was in my late teens. One of the JW rules is that you do not associate with others who know the truth but refuse to follow it, including family, and parents are encouraged to disown any children who have left the religion. The first time was when I was 19. It upset me, I was heartbroken, and eventually they changed their minds only to do it again a couple years later, and so on until I stopped caring and no longer attempt to be a part of their lives at all. Was seeing a girl in high school. Her family was JW, but she really didn't care. I really liked her and it was fun. Then she disappeared. Her dad found out and she was sent to live with her grandmother, never saw her again. Her sister managed to let me know what happened and that the girl was sorry. Really bummed me out for a couple years. I disowned a family member, not a child though. We were very close, until he ended up being caught in a pedo sting. Then I turned my back and haven't looked back. I have a sister the age of the girl he was supposed to meet. I can't associate with scum like that. FYI, according to my sister, nothing was ever done to her. Disowned my stepbrother for the same reason. He was caught in a giant sting, and was charged for having kiddie porn as well as breaking into teen girls' emails to find lewd pictures, to blackmail them into having sex with him. He was 21 when he was caught. The most ducked up part was that a couple years before he was caught, he had broken into my email and done the same thing, tried to blackmail me into giving him more pictures. I was able to get him to keep his mouth shut because the pictures he found of me were from I was 15, and I threatened to go to the cops to charge him with child pornography. That shut him up real quick, probably because he knew they'd find whatever else he was hiding. I wish I had gone to the cops, because maybe I could have prevented him from harming those other girls. But I honestly had no idea the extent of it. I thought he was just being a supreme creep to me personally. The SWAT team ended up raiding our house, waking up my dad with guns in his face and forcing him to sit outside in his boxers while they searched. My brother is serving 18 years. He tried to send me a few letters, with some bullshit apology. I told him to leave me the fuck alone and haven't talked to him since. That is a very good reason to disown someone. JFC.